Morgan Matthews, and I serve as Vice President of Partnerships at Connections Health Solutions.
So Connections has been making amazing progress with mental health. How does it feel to be a part of the helping communities nationwide with mental health care?
Extremely humbling. We had started this journey to expand our services beyond our Arizona footprint in 2020. And so to now be in 2024 and seeing individuals in crisis in Northern Virginia, we also are opening a facility next month outside of Seattle, Washington, and then another facility in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, towards the end of the year. It really feels like the fulfillment of a dream. So in some senses, it's kind of a culmination, but in another sense, Michael, our work is never done. Not just from we want to see more and more communities helped, but also within the communities we serve. There's always just so much more you can do beyond whatever services and offerings you start with. And our vision is really to see the whole paradigm of how behavioral health treatment operates changed in the communities we serve. And so it's humbling to see the progress. It's amazing to see the progress, having been on this journey for a minute. But we're just getting started.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit about the work Connections has been doing recently?
Yeah, for sure. So most recently, we opened a 16-bed treatment center in Northern Virginia. It's in Chantilly. This is a program that was previously operated, unfortunately closed, and so we reopened it June 11th, so just a few weeks ago. And so far, we have been able to see around 34 individuals and discharge about 23. And so it's in just a few weeks, we see the change that it's made being in the community. This facility is a little different, Michael, than what we typically do because the footprint is so constrained. It's just 16 beds. It operates via referrals, so folks are either referred in from their emergency services, from their community services board, or through law enforcement or emergency departments. Our vision and what we're tracking towards with our full Woodbridge Crisis Receiving Center is to have a program that, regardless of who you are, regardless of where you are in your crisis moment, you can walk in and receive help. And so we're looking forward to having that full scale program, those full services. But for now, we feel really privileged that there is a program that we're already seeing impact in the community that we can offer.
What is it like working with everyone in Virginia about those two facilities?
It's really, I said the word humbling before, and it's almost going to sound, kind of repetitive again, Michael. But it does feel it does feel humbling. I would say the northern counties and the northern community services boards, a part of Region Two, so Arlington, Alexandria, Fairfax, Loudoun, and Prince William County, do an amazing job working together to create regional programming. And so I think for me, it's been really personally, and for us as a company, it's been really instructive seeing how these different county, city, community bodies work together and collaborate to bring about this programming. None of this would have happened without their vision. None of this would have happened without their collaboration. And so I think that's been the best piece of really seeing local government at work in a way that's powerful and impactful.
And you play an important part of getting these facilities to these communities. How does it feel for you to get positive feedback for your work?
It feels great. It's funny. Someone recently told me that, in our first days of opening, we had a law enforcement drop off. We had an individual come in with an officer, and our team came, received them. We at Connections always have a quick intake process. Our goal is to make sure we get folks into treatment fast and that we get law enforcement back on the road, and so that individual knows that they're safe and in treatment care. And so we did our kind of intake, we did our handoff, and the officer apparently said, "That's it." He or she was shocked that it was that easy and that quick. And I think that is exactly the kind of feedback we relish at Connections, and we will continue with all of our programming forthcoming. Is that's it. There aren't hoops to jump through to get into care. You're not going to, crisis is defined by the individual. If you think you're in crisis, we're here to help you. And so yeah, it should just, I wish, that could be almost our connection slogan. That's it. You need help? You got it. And so that's been some of the great positive feedback. And I think there's been a real excitement to just, this program was closed for about a year, that now it's open. We're seeing folks. And I will say too, Michael, the best part is the vast majority of those we've treated have been connected back to the community. I looked at our data today, it's about 95% so far. And so that to me, I think is the most rewarding. It's not just that we are taking individuals, we're treating them, but it's that we're stabilizing them and then connecting them back to their home. That's why we are here. That's what our mission really is. So getting that feedback from the community, getting that feedback of that's it, you're just going to take folks in crisis and treat them with dignity and respect and stabilize them, like that's been, I think, the best part.
You talked a little earlier about the Woodbridge location, which is opening sometime in 2025. But there's probably tons of work happening right now before it opens. What does that work like?
There's always, Michael, an array of things that have to be done prior to opening. So right now, Prince William County, their architects, their contractors, in collaboration with us, are working very hard to get the facility set up. These facilities take a lot of time, a lot of care to make sure that everything, when someone walks in to a crisis center, is geared towards their therapeutic benefit. And so that intentionality and those fixtures and those pieces take time and care. And so that's one piece. Another piece that is critical is not just, you can't just set up a physical plant. You can't just set up a center and expect it's going to work. So a lot of the work the team is doing is connecting with other community providers, other community programs, community services boards, emergency services teams, making sure everyone that might aid an individual in crisis, both before and after, is aware of the program and also how they uniquely intersect. So not just, oh, this crisis center is coming into fruition, but this is how you will engage with the crisis center, you specifically. So, you are our medical director at this hospital. If someone shows up in your emergency department, this is how you're going to get them to connections. This outpatient community group home, hey, we might have folks that need a placement. How do we connect with you so when we're managing their care that we can make sure we get them in? And so it's all of those. Someone on our team calls it the unlikely spider web of crisis. There's so many different pieces and so many different people that come in that you might not even expect, when you start down of like, oh, this one program has this service that we think is really cool. We should get connected in case someone needs this specific food or this specific thing. It's that spider web that we're building, and that takes time. And so that's part of the effort ongoing now too.
What do you do to help your own mental health?
Oh, that's a great question. For me, my faith is really important, and I love the Lord, and so spending time in my church community is critical for me. I'm actually, Michael, this week hosting 2 Northern Irish missionaries, if you believe it. One is 17 years old and one is 18 years old. They're 2 of the loveliest young women you could ever meet. Our church runs a summer camp every year, and through a long, kind of convoluted story I won't bore you with, probably because I don't even really know it all, every year we have Northern Irish youth come over and help us run it. And so I've had 2 girls in my home for this week. I've been able to show them around. I personally live in Philly, so show them around in Philly. They come from a small town, Portadown, which is around 20,000 people. So the big city is a big change for them. So it's stuff like that when you get to, play a small part, kind of like what I do at Connections, play a small part in something much bigger and grander. Really helps me with my mental health.
And with Connections, the expansion process has been big the past few years, but where do you want to see the expansion, say, in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, that's a great question, Michael. I would say We certainly have goals of expanding our reach, continuing, in new communities across the U.S. But important to us is not so much going broad as going deep. We have a real commitment to the communities where we are now, like Northern Virginia, to make sure that we're not just done and resting on our laurels. There is always deeper partnerships to be had, deeper connections to care to be had, different protocols, process improvement that can be had across the community to make sure individuals in crisis are getting their needs met timely, and that overall we're working as a community to reduce the number of crises events by improving care in the community, right? And so I would say, yes, do we have lofty goals to expand reach to crisis services and continue adding more communities, adding services in more communities? Yes, but top tier for us is really making sure we're honoring the places we're in now and going deep and building those roots, so and keep going with that evolution process so it's easier and easier for folks in need to get the access to care.
In the Chantilly location, which you said just opened, how does it feel when you see a location open?
It was incredible, Michael. We had a ribbon cutting um, uh, the second week of June, and there was members on my team in tears, crying because they were just so overcome seeing the fruits of their labor. We had Georgia Bachman, who's the interim executive director of Prince William County Community Service Board, give some remarks, and she brought all of us to tears, talking about and bringing it back to the impact at the individual level to those that are in crisis, that are going to come in and have compassionate folks help them and walk alongside them to stabilize them so they can go back home. So I will say there was a lot of tears, a lot of crying, a lot of celebrating when we finally got the facility, or center I should say, ready to go, because so much, I will say for Connections folks, we put our whole heart into it, Michael. This is far from a job for us, and our team is very much, for them this is a mission. One of my coworkers talks about how this is her legacy for her children, bringing about and being a part of this change. And so for them it goes deeper than okay, we check the box, on to the next. It's really felt. And so I think that's and I felt it too, just being in our center and seeing like, okay, this was one way last year and we came in and made changes with the support of the community, with some generous funding from the Community Services Board, and now it's a whole different thing. And seeing that is really just, I don't know, we each play such a small role in this big process that sometimes you can lose the magnitude of what you're doing because you're one small part, and when you see it all come together, it kind of hits you of like, wow, we actually did this. Like, this is real and this is good and this is everything I hoped it would be. But it's and so that's, I think, been the best about it. And I think there'll be many more tears with many more launches from our team, because that's just who we are. But yeah, it's powerful. It's a powerful moment because we talk about who we are and what we do and why we care, and we try to be really strong advocates. But when you see it come into the real, it's a whole nother emotion.
So how can people reach out and learn more?
Great question, Michael. So all of our information can be found at www.connectionshs.com, and specific information about Chantilly can be found at www.connectionshs.com/Chantilly and /Woodbridge. So connectionshs.com/Woodbridge has all our information about the Woodbridge facility forthcoming. So feel free to avail yourself of those resources. We have different inputs where folks can ask questions and things, and so we always look to respond to that in a timely fashion. So welcome any feedback from the community or questions or comments.